engulfed men, women and children wherever they could find them. This war of extermination against the Aborigines is tending to the final extinction of the race.
What reportedly saved the race from extinction was their use of slave labor.
This extermination policy has proved so injurious to the interests of the whites. Indian labor is indispensable.
Highly prized slaves were Indian girls as young as 3, said the Marysville Appeal, for fulfilling double roles of labor and of lust. Phil Lane Jr. is hereditary chief of the Hankton One First Nation. Phil, really great to see you. What facts are being airbrushed out of history?
Practices were that that sometimes you don't want to speak about, and they not only wiped out most of the people, but the way they did it, the greatest.
Let me get this real quick. This is the book of Joel 3, verse 3, and it says, "And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink." Alright?
Loss of people at any time in history.
Cultural genocide is still being waged on surviving Indian peoples. Truth out. From the start of the 20th century, children were forced into so-called Indian boarding schools designed to, quote, kill the Indian in them, according to the system's founding father, Richard Pratt. Indians were obliged to change their name to a Western one like Tom, made to dress and style their hair like whites. Indigenous Americans were also forced to adopt Christianity and all other parts of Western culture. Lenore Stefan witnessed the abuse firsthand. Thank you so much.
Alright, that's it on this story. There's a lot. I just wanted to touch a little bit. You brothers can look it up and do some research. I mean, there's a lot of research out there, especially through the elders that have been teaching us about the Native Americans. So it's out there. I'm gonna jump into this next story. We got Saudi Arabia and Israel teaming up against Iran soon. So this is moving, man. As soon as that's a part of prophecy, them going into Iran. Either however they do it when they go in there, that's the fulfillment of that, and we can move to the next thing, which is the chip, which is already out, and I have a story on that also. So we'll let this play.
Hopes of reconciliation are on hold for Iran, with crippling sanctions over its nuclear program still in place, and the opposing powers lining up against it. Despite all the smiles and handshakes, the US is renewing its trade restrictions and even considering toughening them. Meanwhile, Iran's most outspoken critic, Israel, seems to have a new partner in France, which shot down last week's tentative deal in Geneva. More details now from RT's Stefan Motze.
The pieces are in place.
We have time and again said that under no circumstances would we seek any weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear weapons, nor will we ever.
Iran and IAEA to cooperate further with respect to verification activities to be undertaken by the IAEA to resolve all present and past issues.
Warmer words, following relations. Yet, just as the deal in Geneva was on the cards between the world powers and Iran, came concern from France. A surprise move that stalled the talks but earned France new friends in Israel, who'd been the traditional stumbling block up to now. Still smarting from the threats and intense rhetoric in the traditional stumbling block up to now. Still smarting from the threats and intense rhetoric of the recent past, Israel refuses to budge.
That's a bad deal. It's a dangerous deal because it keeps Iran as a nuclear threshold nation.
We are not blind, and I don't think we're stupid.
As for the main bargaining chips, the sanctions, lightening up could prove deal maker, but Congress is having none of it, putting President Obama in a tough spot.
I think Rouhani has staked his position on the idea that he can improve relations with the rest of the world. And so far, he's been saying a lot of the right things. If I were the Prime Minister of Israel, I'd be very wary as well of any kind of talk from the Iranians.
And then there's the bargaining hammer. Israel building more settlements when things don't go its way. approving more units only last month, leaving U.S. Congress to get trigger-happy with more sanctions.
God rushed into a bad deal with Iran. We already know how Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu feels, advocating his case on Twitter through yet another colorful graphic presentation. And the red carpet will be rolled out for its newfound French friend, President Hollande. It's tough to predict whether the P5+1 will equal unity when they get back around the table next week in Geneva. Tapamnitze, RT, Moscow.
Now, although Israel and Saudi Arabia officially have no diplomatic relations, they're rumoured to be preparing a joint bombing campaign against Iran. The Sunday Times newspaper suggests an attack may take place if a new round of international talks fails to produce a deal rolling back to Iran's nuclear power program. Israel considers Iran its enemy number one and has long accused the country of working on an atomic bomb, a charge that Iran denies. Well, under the strike plan, Saudi Arabia would grant Israel the use of its airspace. It would also assist Israel in the deployment of combat drones, helicopters and tanker planes. The Saudis are furious and are willing to give Israel all the help it needs. That's what an anonymous source allegedly told the British newspaper. Iranian political analyst Saeed Mohammed Mandi joins us live now to give us a bit of comment on this. Thanks very much for coming on to the programme. Why would Saudi Arabia want Iran to be attacked, do you think?
Well, we don't know if these reports are true, but the Saudis and the Israelis are moving closer and closer to one another. However, it's highly unlikely that the Saudis or the Israelis would really want to attack Iran, because at the end of the day, both countries would be losers. They would be seen as aggressors, and obviously the Iranians would retaliate. The Saudis would be very vulnerable. It would create an economic catastrophe for the world, and only the Saudis and the Israelis would be to blame. The Israelis would, of course, be facing retaliatory attacks from the Iranians. That would mobilize the whole Middle East, especially the people on the streets in support of Iran. It would isolate Israel. The Israelis would be the losing side, because if they succeed in destroying a couple of buildings, they would be hit back far harder by the Iranians, and the political implications for Israel.
Well, we know it's prophecy to come to pass. He's pretty much going to try to say how they're not going to attack, but we know that's going to happen, man. It's just an update I wanted to give you, brothers. Let's get into the next story. A lot of you people see with this issue right here with this RFID chip, and we're telling you that they're going to pass it and try to implement it, and you don't want to listen. So here's another clip story.
A couple of weeks ago, I really got shaken up by a sister that the church that in New York City that she's visiting, the pastor and the leader in the service, they were talking, and the one of the leaders there and the pastor, they were talking about the RFID chip, and they were telling people in the congregation that the RFID chip is not the mark of the beast. And so he called one of the leader up and said, show him the RFID. And so he has it in his right hand right there. It was under there, his right hand arm. And he was showing it to the people, and the pastor was saying to the congregation, everyone was applauding what was going on. They said, you see, we got it. There's nothing wrong with the RFID chip. You see, we got it. Okay, you think this is too bad? This is not so much of a beast. Come on, look at it.
Right here, the story is saying that this lady went to New York City and she went to this church. He didn't give the specifics on the church, but he said the pastor brought up somebody and said that one of the leaders of the church, probably one of the deacon rib tips, and said that that it was good, that it wasn't the mark of the beast. So they're already pushing this in these churches and getting you ready for it, man. It's coming. Iran's out. I just showed you a video on Iran, and I'm showing you a video on the chip. What more prophecy do you need?
You know how your information is protected, all this and that, and he was telling the congregation the benefit, hallelujah, of the RFID ship. Hallelujah. And so she emailed me and told me everything that went on, and she was shaking. She said that she was shocked by the whole idea that they were presenting there and showing there and all that. And she said that she didn't know how all this is happening so fast. How is it that people are getting the RFID ship so fast? Congregation, churches, companies, you know. How is it that they're getting that stuff so fast? We know in March of this year started, hallelujah. Okay? And so, you know, she was really shocked by this stuff. And so she emailed me to see what would I think of that. What do you think about this, Brother Elvis? And I'm reading her email and I'm like, oh my goodness. You know, I think we haven't talked much about.
Alright, that's it on that. Let's get alright, with that I'm gonna say all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That bonds tales of GMS. Much love to you brothers on the four corners of the planet. Shalom.